Let's see here. All right, we can hear you. Perfect. All right. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of If You Know, You Know, the show for Web3 creators and enthusiasts. I'm your host, Belle, and each week I'm joined by Web3 experts to bring you the latest trends, opportunities, and perspectives from the creators who are shaping the future of technology and art. Nothing we ever say is ever financial advice, and it's always really important to do your own research. If this is your first time joining us, we do the show on live on X every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you can also find us on any of your favorite streaming platforms. Today, we're streaming live here with Kyler from Pog Digital. How are you today, Kyler?
I am well. Thank you so much for having us. We're very excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on, man. You guys are like nostalgic. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday and I was telling him that, I have this. It's always really weird when I talk to my IRL friends because they don't really understand what I do all the time, and who I get to talk to and all that. But it's super cool. It's like cool on top of cool when I get to say, do you remember when we were kids and there was something really cool and little pop? And so they were like, "Oh yeah," I said, "I get to talk to them tomorrow." So, so it's like you made me look really, really cool to be able to have this podcast going on today.
Well, that's
Tyler,
awesome. That's what we're
what do
here
you have
for.
behind you?
These are a bunch of pogs. So we've got, along with a few other things, but a Marvel game that we created. We've got some Star Wars pogs, some Barbie pogs. We've got Batman and Pocahontas, and somewhere in here we've got some Power Rangers. There's Lion King, Animaniacs. I don't know if you remember Pinky and the Brain.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
gosh, I just showed that to my daughter the other day. Yes.
yeah, some Looney Tunes stuff. We've got some Coca Cola. We can't even fit them all. I've got what you can't see off camera is just stacks and stacks, mountains of Pogs and so forth. So it's
That's so cool.
this is the Pog mecca. So one fun thing though is like we put this in a case. This is one of our Bodago Pogs. We've made Pogs with like a lot of Web3 brands from Neo Tokyo to Bored Ape and a bunch of others. But what's fun is like if I just even tap the back of this to my phone, it'll bring up the NFT that it's connected to.
Oh wow.
So we link this Bodago Pog to this Bodago NFT, and we're going to be giving it away later on Twitter today.
What? That's really cool. I did see something about that, but I wasn't too sure like how it worked. That's really, really cool. So let me ask you a question. If NFT NYC is coming up.
Yeah.
ETH Denver just happened. I don't know if you guys are going to be participating, but one of the biggest pain in the butt for all of us that are in Web3 and digitally recognize each other, right? And if I show my PFP to people, and now that I do, me because I do content and you actually see my face, but when I start talking to somebody, they don't know who I am, or it takes them a second to realize that I'm the person you've been talking to for the last year, right?
Yeah.
And so the solution to that, I guess, is like some people will wear pins, or some people will wear stickers, or give away things, that type of thing. And more and more, we have our digital uh, like cards. I think there are a
Yeah.
couple of apps. So if I had that little pog with my Bodagos, because I have some Bodagos, shout out to all Bodagos, but if I have that little card and I go to NFT NYC and I show that and somebody scans it, what happens then? Does it take you to like my X account, or what does it take
That's
you
up
to?
to
My
you.
Magic
Right
Eden?
now, this takes you to the actual NFT so that you can see
Okay.
who owns it, what wallet it's in, and all that stuff. So basically, the idea of this one is I tap it and be like, "Hey, check out my NFT." Boom, and you see it. And then somebody be like, "Oh, I want it. Well, sell it to me. Sell me the pot." So but yes, so like my background before this was helping to build Rivian, the electric car company. We built it up and then IPO'd it, and actually I got number truck 300. But what we were doing is using NFC chips to unlock vehicles and to access and so forth. And so you can actually I could put this on any POG for you, and you could use it as your key to your house, your key to your car. You could have it go to your X account. You could have it go to your link tree. You could have it go to anywhere anywhere you wanted, your LinkedIn, and that's it's definitely reprogrammable. So yeah, that's totally up to you where you want it to go.
Sweet, sweet. All right, cool. No, that sounds really cool. Have you done that to any other collections, or is Bodaga's the kicking it off with that?
No, we have done that with our Coca-Cola collection. So this was one collection we did with vintage Coca-Cola and Wayne Gretzky and a number of others. So
That's
we
cool.
have a vintage Coca-Cola Wayne Gretzky Pog. We've done them with about 150 pogs from our past collectibles, but the most recent one we did was about 400 Coca-Cola pogs, and those I think we sold those in 2 hours and made like $100,000 with just 400 of them. Um,
Wow.
yeah, there's a huge demand for vintage Coca-Cola or vintage pogs, and especially when they've been authenticated and tokenized onto a blockchain.
Let's talk a little bit more about that because for anybody who doesn't know what pogs are and the history behind it, tell us a little bit about the story and the journey before even NFT technology, blockchain technology was even a thing. What was pogs?
Yeah, so Pog's actually a 120-year-old brand, 35 years in collectibles. So it started as a juice company in Hawaii, and the company would hide little milk caps underneath the lids of their juice. And in the 80s, a gal named Blossom, she had a fourth grade class that she taught how to collect these milk caps and stack them up, and they would hit them with a slammer, whatever flip they got to keep, and it became such a big craze in Hawaii that it moved over to the mainstream. And the guy who actually owned and created the Armor All car company purchased the brand and turned it into the game we know today. And that's where all these partnerships came from. The Barbie, the Star Wars. We sold 10 billion collectibles in our history so far, at least. And we have over 200 million collectors around the world, 40 different countries at least. And so like if you're from the 30 to 45 year age group, there's a pretty high chance that you had either a Pog or a Tazos or a Flippy or some type of milk cap with art on it. And the craze got so big that it was hard to find cardboard at one point. And Michael Jordan had Pogs, Shaquille O'Neal had Pogs, everybody, if you were interested in like marketing to the younger generation, then you made Pogs. And so it really is interesting as we started to build this in Web3. A lot of folks who are software engineers or founders or devs, they're like, I still have my Pogs. Like, check this out. And they'll pull them
Yeah.
off of their desk while we're talking and be like, look at this. Or they'll be like, I knew I was talking to you. So I went to my mom's house and I got my Pogs. Here, check these out. And it's really cool because so many gals have the same experience as so many guys. So it's like a perfect division, 50-50 of our age group. Everybody collected Pogs. It
Yeah.
didn't matter, like it didn't matter if you were a rich kid or a poor kid or a girl or a boy. If you were part of that age group and if your school played Pogs, you probably had, some. Maybe you didn't compete with them, or a lot of us call it our first gambling experience, because like you'd lose a pog or you'd win a pog, and the next thing you know, your friend's mom is at your door asking for those pogs back. And so they were a very prized possession for a lot of us growing up.
And they were also like encouraged, right? Like it was such an innocent thing that like to your point, schools had them available and embedded them into the games and things that you would do for the school, right?
Absolutely. A lot of schools made pogs. I mean, everybody made pogs on their own. And, Marvel, Mickey, everybody had their own pogs. We were actually one of Pokemon's first partners, but it got so popular that what the parents and the teachers first implemented and brought to their kids, they ended up having to take away towards
Yeah.
the end of the craze. It got banned around the world from playgrounds because it was such a popular game, and kids were ending up getting in fights over these pogs. It ended up getting pretty serious.
Those distractions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fist fights over slammers. They were
That's
the
crazy.
more I do this, the more I hear about it.
That is crazy. That's crazy. So, what has changed? Obviously, so many years have passed by, and the landscape has now become a digital landscape, right, of collectibles. Um, why Web3? Like, at what point does Pogs make the decision to say this seems interesting enough to play in that playground?
That's a great question. So my background, long story short, started in 2012. I was a banker, found Bitcoin, started mining Bitcoin, lost all that Bitcoin in Mount Gox's hack, but got into tech, got to Google, built cloud platforms, machine learning, got to Unity, built the first machine learning team with the head of AI at Google now. His name's Danny Lang, and then moved on to build connected gaming and cloud services, and then kind of lead my own team in blockchain research, discovering and exploring how we could utilize blockchain technology in our platform at Unity. Unity was the number one game engine at the time. We still today have 6.5 million developers building games on Unity all around the world. And I wanted to build interoperable gaming where all of these game developers could build with the same group of assets. Players could own those assets and then have unique experiences in each game based on what they owned. And the Pog brand ended up being later, we reached out to them because it can go into every ecosystem. There, as a holder, as a collector from the 90s and from growing up, I remember having every type of Pog from all of these different brands. And so you could put a Pog in a Barbie game and it works. You could put a Pog in an NHL game and it works. But the most important thing is that twofold for the gaming side, it creates a demand outside of the game. If you're a CS:GO player and you create you stack up this whole arsenal of amazing weapons, the only people who want to buy those assets from you are other players of the game. You don't have like folks who are like, you don't have 35-year-old mothers who want to have your CS:GO knife just because it's a CS:GO knife. But in
Mhm.
this space, you have a lot of folks who will collect a POG digitally or physically just because it is a POG, knowing that they can't get it anywhere else. If we put it in CS:GO and you win this Barbie Pog or you win this CS:GO Pog, there are people out there who will never play CS:GO that want that Pog because they want all of them. They want the most rare ones that you can't get anywhere else. And the biggest problem for the Pog brand in the 90s was authentication. You'll see, like on the back of our Pogs, they all say the Pog logo. They all have the Pog logo stamped on them. Whereas, like, sky caps and like slam caps and all of these other brands started creating their own milk caps with white backs or with like, and they were never considered as high value. And so being able to differentiate the authenticity of a collectible is now available on the blockchain, and so in a way that never was before. So we can do two things: we can launch a digital collectible, and now you know that it was issued by us, it's an authentic Pog collectible. Use it in your arcade, keep it, give it to your kids, redeem it for physical stuff. Or with the 90s Pogs, we're able to bring those and authenticate them on chain and give them an NFC chip. So just like this Bodago Pog, you could tap it to a phone and show, oh, that's an authentic 90s vintage collectible that was authenticated and graded and tokenized by the Pog brand themselves. So the validation and authenticity piece, it really can't be overlooked.
So, are you able to go back and authenticate? Is that the right word? Authentic,
Authenticate.
authenticate. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Okay. Are you able to go back and authenticate the 90s pods?
Yeah, so we have done that with a number of them, from Looney Tunes and Barbie and Batman. We pretty much built a 150-piece collection of like one or two from the top collections, and we tokenized one of each. And what's funny is we buy a Pog for 30 cents to $1 online. We tokenize it, authenticate it, put it on the Pog blockchain, and it sells for anywhere between $2,000 and $3,500. Um,
That's insane. That is
Absolutely insane.
insane.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, we have a lot of degens that listen to the show. And as soon as you mention like a flipping opportunity like that, I'm sure that a lot of people were like, wait, what? Say that again? Is that something that anybody could do? Like, can I go right now and purchase something and reach out to you to authenticate it?
That is something we're building. So in 2025, we expect this to release, whether it's through an app or whether it's a service like PSA, where you would pick up your Pog collectibles. As long as it's an authentic Pog, you could send it in to us. We would either require it to be cased already, or we would case it ourselves, grade it, authenticate it, and send it back to you with the NFT as well. And that would be something that you would pay for in our native Pog coin that is out now. And for the DGens, if they want to compete, if those of you like, we held a Pog tournament where we created this game all on chain on Solana. You can bring your Pogs, I'll bring mine, and stack them up, and whatever we flip, we keep. 5 day tournament. We hosted it with Justin Kahn, founder of Twitch. We had 4.7 million Pogs flipped in 250,000 games of Pogs over 5 days. And the value of that is like $1.2 billion worth of Pogs being flipped in 5 days. It's one of the highest, I think, valued turnovers like of actual assets being used in a game to date.
Wow. The participants that participated in that tournament, I'm super curious, like demographically, were there a lot of people back from the 90s or a lot of young folks? One of the interesting things about Web3 and the blockchain technology, right, of everything that we've talked about today is that it's new technology, which makes it a little bit difficult for a certain demographic to understand and to engage with and to truly understand, if I can't hold it in my hand, if it's not tangible, then it's not real. Or if it is real, it's definitely not worth it, right? It's not worth the same amount of dollars that I would spend on something that I can actually have in my hand.
Yeah.
So when you have these type of tournaments, it's almost like you have two different audiences, two different type of people, right? Like I could join and fully understand it, and I could also take my teenage son, and he would understand it in a very different way than I would, I think, right? Um, what does your audience look like, and do you have to do a lot of education on that side of digitizing everything, or is that something that's kind of embedded and maybe you know uh, not so new anymore? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. It really is differentiated exactly as you said. We've got the nostalgia folks, and then we've got the younger kids. Um, for that tournament, and kind of for where we are now for the last 2 years, we've really focused on the crypto native, right? Somebody who already understands how crypto works, understands how to handle their wallet and how to utilize cold storage. We've done some tutorials on how to utilize cold storage, but really, like, we've built our community out of mostly the nostalgic 30 to 45 year age group who already knows how to use crypto. um, and then for this game, we had a lot of young kids come in because we put up, I think, a $25,000 prize pool for the tournament. And so we had a lot of kids who learned how to flip pogs for the first
Mm,
time and competed with older heads who were having a great time. But with our arcade that will open in April, um, it'll support 5 different blockchains beginning in May and June, but it'll be open for public play and testing, play for fun in April. Um, it's as easy as just signing up with an email address, and then you begin to collect on the platform. For those digital natives like us,
mm.
you can move those assets off of the platform, hold them in your wallet, store them in hot wallet or cold wallet, and then bring them back to the platform when you want to play with them or whatever you choose. But for those that don't know, where like we've partnered with Steven Soderbergh, the creator of Ocean's 11, he partnered with Francis Coppola, the creator of The Godfather, and they backed this young director named Cutter, who launched this movie at South by Southwest called Cold Storage, or no, it's called Cold Wallet, and it's about a crypto heist where somebody rugs for 280 million dollars and then pretends like they died, and the Reddit community goes and finds him and kidnaps him and sends all of the money back. Um, and or they try to send it all back. And the platform they're trying to use to send all the money back is actually the Pog platform. And so part of the whole marketing campaign is that you sign up for the giveaway and you actually get an airdrop of Pog coins. So everybody who watches this movie over the next year and a half will be able to log into the Pog arcade, use their email to sign up, and then get an allocation or an airdrop of Pog coin immediately that they can use to compete in these games. And so it's a really good way for us to onboard the crypto curious, the physical collectors, our 200 million collectors from the physical world, get them into the digital space without them having to set up a MetaMask or a Phantom in the first place.
That's really cool. Um, how difficult, let's speaking of education wise, right? You mentioned the crypto curious. We've actually been doing a lot of studies on that, or a lot of research on that, on something that we're going to be launching really soon. And it has a lot to do with that. So I want to ask you a little bit about that on the people who fall within that. How deep into like education are you having to go, or is it just intuitive for them?
Well, what's really amazing is just by putting the Pog logo in the middle of that bridge, it makes it 100 times easier for these
That's
folks.
cool.
Whereas, like before, when I was explaining to folks how to use an NFT or how to use crypto to buy one, I'd be like, okay, so it's this internet money, right? That you're buying online, and then you're
Magical
moving
internet
it.
money.
Exactly, you're moving it to this wallet. What's a wallet? Well, it's just like an address. So like you're trying to explain addresses, and you're trying to explain private keys and public keys, and then you're trying to explain how an NFT works. Oh, it's this, smart contract that holds an image or holds a function, and you actually own that as a piece of art, and it proves. And it's like you get lost really quickly. Whereas
Yeah.
for us, all we have to say is like, do you remember collecting Pogs? Absolutely, I collected Pogs. Well, now they're just digital, and you collect digital pogs, and they're like, fuck yeah, like that's easy. And then you're like, okay, now set up this wallet. Okay, cool, I set up my little pog wallet, my little pog holder. Awesome, that's where my pogs are stored. And then you say like, how do I buy one? Well, you have to buy this cryptocurrency in order to buy one. Okay, cool, well, I'm going to go buy my pogs, so in order to buy my pogs I have to get this. And it all of a sudden just like, it really makes sense to him super super well. The younger generation has no idea what a POG is, so that doesn't help. But
Yeah.
the 30 and 45-year-olds who need the education the most, they're like, yeah, I'm down. I get how to collect. Oh, and you mean because they're digitally, they're scarce because there's a really low supply online. And using the blockchain, we can determine who owns what, even if like a database goes down. So all of that really makes sense just by like, you know, housing it in the three little letters of POG.
That makes so much sense, and I can see how one thing leads to another. How are you setting up the wallets, and what blockchain are you using for that, for the token?
Yeah, so right now, our arcade wallet supports four different blockchains, from five blockchains actually. It'll support Solana, it supports Ethereum, Polygon, Theta, and PogChain, which is the chain we created with Amazon and Theta Labs. And then we also will be bringing in, I love your Pizza Ninja, we'll be bringing in the Bitcoin ordinals into our ecosystem as well. We inscribed 130 ordinals starting at 129,000, and they've just gone really well. And actually, we've got these gold coins that are coming. That each ordinals holder is going to get this golden slammer, like a 24 karat gold plated slammer, that they'll get to redeem. So yeah, it's a super easy custodial wallet that supports all five blockchains.
How do you prevent having the community siloed when you include so many?
Well, because for the person who's not crypto native, you won't know which blockchain it's on really.
Oh,
You
that's
might
cool.
one of the traits might say Solana or Ethereum or Bitcoin, but as far as you know, they're all just collectibles with different
Yeah,
values and so forth, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas like the crypto native will know which wallet they have to take it to, and how they can send it and where. So when you do want to send one of your pogs out, it'll ask for your Solana wallet or your Ethereum wallet or your Ordinals wallet. So it'll ask you for the wallet that it needs, but up until that point, you won't even know.
I met you, Kyler, through participating in NFA, which is the other show that I co-host through NFT Now. And I reached out afterwards because I was so impressed with the level of knowledge that you have as a founder and as just a participant in the ecosystem, right? Of you know your shit, which is really cool, which is
Thank you.
really, really good. And I was also really impressed with how much you understood and are able to explain why you were interested in ordinals. Like, why even include an ordinal in the Pogs ecosystem? What does it matter? Why not just stick with the Solana or Ethereum or any of the other ones, right? Why ordinals?
Well, we wanted to create our own digital artifact, right? Like it is. I've always called the Bitcoin blockchain, the master chain, and a lot of maxis from other chains might think that's a bad thing, but the reality is it started it all. I remember when Doge was created. I was there, not in the room, but like I was hanging out with one of the first holders of Doge, and he's like, look, it's just a joke coin. It was created off of this meme. I remember him explaining it just like that. Um, but the ability to, or the fact that your ordinal is actually stored on the blockchain is something that we've tried to emulate on our own blockchain, where we're distributing content not through a centralized database or even a distributed database like IPFS, but it is actually stored, encrypted, sharded across nodes on the chain. So it's not even close to what Bitcoin can offer, but we're trying to have kind of that same, ethos. But the fact that when you hear folks like Leonidas talk about it, or Trevor or Udi, even though Udi wasn't necessarily the biggest Ordinals fan in the beginning or whatever, like he's always been a Bitcoin fan. Um, but or maybe I got it wrong. Maybe it took him a while to warm up to Bitcoin. I can't remember his story. But the fact that it's hard for me to like explain it again, just because like I know that maybe some of those guys are listening and they're like so much better at explaining and like selling and pitching. But for me, it's a Bitcoin collectible. We always wondered if Bitcoin was going to be able to have different functionality outside of just being a value store or even a value transfer mechanism. The ability to send value and money across borders without Western Union, that was one of the coolest things. And to be able to bank the unbanked who didn't have access to bank accounts, that's why I moved from banking into to tech, was all because I found Bitcoin. Um, but now with the fact that you don't have to use IPFS, you don't have to depend on a third party. It's not just a hyperlink in your smart contract that's linking back to an image. It actually is stored on the Satoshi, on the blockchain. It's really exciting to me, right? The fact that like all but one node could crash, everybody reboots, and now the blockchain is still running, and
Mm.
it still works, right? And even if we didn't have it, like the internet, we could still kind of trade by hand, so to speak, in a way. But anyways, that starts to get hypothetical. I just really believe in the Bitcoin blockchain. It was the start of my whole passion for crypto, and it still remains the heart of it all. And everything that I do will eventually be to store as much Bitcoin as possible for my kids and for our generational wealth. And I think of it as like taking gold and you're molding gold into fine art, right? Like gold on its own is super valuable. A Satoshi, a Bitcoin is super valuable on its own. But now when you can mold that and sculpt it into a piece of art, it becomes even more valuable. And that's why we have a single Satoshi going for $100,000, through OMB.
I've never heard anyone say it quite like that, and I really like that. What did you say? You're molding gold into art.
Yeah,
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to steal that. Got
please do.
it. That's really cool. So a pog on Bitcoin, an ordinal, is there is there more added value, as in is it going to cost me more to obtain an ordinal versus an Ethereum one or any of the other ones?
Yeah, so currently I think an ordinal is going for 0.03 ETH or 3 Bitcoin. I think it's going for just over or under $2,000, where you could get an Ethereum Pog for I think 0.05 or 0.04 ETH. So it's like almost 20 times the value. But I think that's also, we've got like 4,000 ETH pogs and we've only got 130 ordinals. Whereas
Okay.
we are looking into our next ordinal collection and maybe doing some of these, what we call proof of greatness, where we tokenize 90s pogs and allow you to pick up the NFT and then redeem for the physical. So you have both. We're thinking about doing that on ordinals a little more often. Um, yeah, there's a lot of things that we're really trying to figure out what the best use case will be and how we can do that while still building our blockchain and our arcade and all that stuff. But yeah, the ordinals have a high premium currently.
I think I lost you. Hold on, hold
Uh-oh.
on. I
Check,
think I
check.
lost you.
Oh no.
One
Oh
second.
no.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
1 second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
cool, cool, cool. Hope, I hope that everybody can hear. Okay, that should work. Cool. Um, Aside from scarcity, is there anything else utility-wise that a person is able to get on, from one blockchain to another, like the difference between Ordinal and one of the other ones?
Yeah. So Solana right now is the only blockchain that has the game available. That'll change here in April when we release it. The Founders Collection on Solana is the only collection that allows you to stake for coins, our native asset, our native coin, that will be used in the arcade, used to redeem prizes. Actually gives you ownership of the DAO, where we have a CryptoPunk and we've got a CloneX and we've got some Meebits and we've got a bunch of other assets in there, bunch of ordinals, Bitcoin Puppet, and so forth. Those are all sitting in the DAO, and based on your voting, how many Pogs coins you stake, you get that number of votes. The Ethereum side, we have a token gated merchandise store where you can pick up like pog mats and coffee cups, and we've got like some very very limited edition pieces that'll be coming to the store soon, where you have to have an ETH POG in order to redeem those. Um, and they'll be like at cost, so you'll get them for wholesale price or even maybe a little less. The Bitcoin ones will allow you to get a golden slammer, as well as like just obviously the history of it by owning one, and that collection was created by the community. And then on PogChain, it is more about like the collectability and the kind of the old school ethos of Pogs, where it's the game you collect. You're trying to collect as many Pogs as you can and compete in all of these games to win more or use them. And then we have unique utilities like Pog TV is coming, and it's a nostalgia and esports
Wow.
streaming platform where can be created, where games can be streamed, and where we'll have nostalgic television content. And you'll be able to get behind the scenes stuff like we've got some stuff we're working on with a major record label and another major TV studio. And so behind the scenes access to artists based on the collectibles you have, and early access to content based on the collectibles you have, and so forth. All of that will be available with the PogChain collectibles.
Wow, that's amazing. That you got a lot. You got a lot in the
Yeah.
pipeline. That's really, really cool. How does a person get to already participate in any of this? And are your collectors already able to tap into some of this? Like, what can I do today as a whole?
All of it's available now. Yep. The PogChain arcade is coming in April. So if you want to collect on PogChain, we just released a free redemption for those that purchased the physical box of Pogs, where we created like, let's see if I can find some. These are all NFTs. This is like an OK Bears NFT that we made a Pog from. On the back, it QR codes into the actual original NFT it was made from. Let's see, PFP that we created, that let's see, Jack Butcher Pog that we made with him, the OK Bears. So we've got some Neo Tokyo ones. Funny that they're not in that stack. We've got a Pepe Pog. We've got man, some of these just ended up like now that I'm looking through them all, I realize how rare some of these really are. Because a lot of these are the same. Anyways, yeah, so we've got a bunch of ways for you to jump in, whether it's like um I think the lowest priced one is like a $7 or $8 OK Bears Pogs, which we burn in the gameplay. We actually just did a $2 mint on Theta, and now I think the floor on that's like 16 or $18, so from 2 to 20 almost. So yeah, so we're trying to figure out really easy ways. We've done like a free collectible over the holidays where you just had to sign up with your email address and you got a free collectible. We did that through the Catalina Whales partnership. But yeah, if you're looking to get into the ecosystem, I would say just jump into the Pog Discord first, and you'll be able to get like a ton of questions answered.
That's really cool. What's the supply on these?
Yeah, so I think all in all, we have less than um, I think about 12,000 collectibles across the all 6 collections. Which really has been great. We're going to start having to ramp up the supply so that people can play without having to play with like 100, 200, $300 pogs. But I think on Solana we've got 6,000 or 7,000 pieces, 11 and then 4,000 on Ethereum, and then we've got 130 on ordinals and 400 Coke Pogs and 850 of these new PFPs that are being redeemed through the boxes. So super low, but we in the last like month we've burned 600 Pogs from all 6 collections, and I think we're about to burn another 1,500 Pogs
Wow.
throughout the 6 collections. So we're really like we really love the idea of Pogs being burned. If you play against Pogman in the arcade, 50% of what you lose is burned. The other 50% goes back to the packs and the pool of rewards for you to win. Um, yeah, so we're always gonna have to keep making more Pogs to allow you to keep playing. But yeah, we made one with a Moonbird.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
Kevin
Yeah,
Rose.
nice.
Yeah. So, we're all about it, and it's yeah, anyways, we've got a new
Very
trait
cool.
that like Pogman's choking out a Moonbird in our newest collection. So we like to have a little fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of artists that tune into the show, and so how could an artist take advantage of this for their own brand? Are they able to like create their own pog that's not a PFP collection?
Absolutely. So that's the question we get most often. How do I make pogs with you, or how do I get my own pogs? There's 2 ways. You can create a digital collection on PogChain with us. We'll launch you in the arcade launch pad where people can buy with digital or fiat, digital currency or fiat. And then people can compete with your pogs, or they can win your pogs in the arcade. And that's a great form of discovery. So let's say you win a new pog. Never heard of Pizza Ninja before. I just want a Pizza Ninja's Pog. And so now I'm going to go into the Discord, find out what kind of utility it gives me or what opportunities I have. So maybe you just onboarded a new holder through our game. And then the other opportunity is like what we are doing with Pizza Ninjas. Trevor and I are working on it. Obviously, I can't speak for him, but we'll be creating physical sheets of Pogs, um, just like what we made for Breakpoint. So a physical sheet of Pogs where you pop them out,
That's cool.
and or you can keep it as a collectible itself. And so you can imagine like 3 different sheets of Pizza Ninja Pogs, and so we can do that with our collectors as well. We've just tooled up and figured out how to make that opportunity available. Before it was like the minimum run was like $100,000 run. Now we can do like 1,500 sheets of these with 6 pogs for like it's about $8 to $10 per sheet in total.
It's really, really cool. You should do a immediate. I don't know why. Immediately, I thought, for NFT NYC or for any of these other conferences, what would be really fun? A scavenger hunt with all of those pogs.
I love that. Yeah.
Like,
So one thing that we're really interested in doing a digital scavenger hunt
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Yeah, like who can collect the most?
You'd
That's
have to
really
get, so like we'd have a sheet of six. You'd have to go to all six locations, pick
yeah,
up your
exactly.
digital pog, and then you could come back to the booth and redeem it for one of these sheets.
Exactly. Or you can have special designated people that get hunted down
I
during
love
the
that too. Absolutely.
to get it. That's really cool. So I want to ask you, actually, before we move on from this, is there anything that I haven't asked you about, like how to participate that you wanted to share with for anybody who's viewing it and wants to participate with the ecosystem?
No, I think the best way to go about it is like scoop up probably a founding pog or an Ethereum pog, or
What's
even
the
a pog.
founding pod? I did read about that. What's
Yeah. So the
important about the
founding,
founding
our
pod?
founding.
Did I lose? Looks like I lost them. All right, we're gonna give it a second.
There
There
we
you
go.
are. There you are. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
You're right.
one Pogger coin, yeah. So you can stake founding Pogs for one Pogger coin a day, and actually on this new chain, we have opening a swap here in April where one Pogger coin on Solana will actually turn into 50 coins on the new chain. Um, and so we, the coins are currently on a swap we have on Theta, and they're valued at like 5 to 6 cents. So one Pogger coin on Solana through your founding Pog is like 50 times,
Wow.
0.05. So like $2.50 or more per day, uh, per pog.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Not bad.
That's not bad at all for just participating and
Yeah.
staking it, right?
Yeah, and then if you have a rare, it's actually like closer to $5 per day or like seven, because you get 2.5 pogs per rare. Or Pogger coin per rare. Anyways, you'd have to ask the tokenomics in Discord, but that's probably the best way to get involved. Otherwise, you can buy some different Pogs on Solana and compete to try and win founding Pogs. Each Ethereum Pog will get a little airdrop of Pog coin here in May. And there's a number of others, but those are probably the two best mechanisms to jump in. And then if you're really excited about ordinals, buy an ordinal because you're going to get a golden slammer.
And what is a golden slammer?
So it's like one of these, um, but
Okay, got it.
it's got the art of our Pog coin on it, and it's encased in 24 karat gold. So it's super
That
shiny.
that is ridiculously cool. That's really, really cool.
We're really
Is
pumped
it
about that.
is it made to be like a PFP? Is it made for is the idea of it that people use them as a PFP or not really? On the
The
golden slammer.
ordinals.
The golden slammer. Uh-huh.
Oh no, those are like physical golden
Okay,
slam.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's an
So
actual
like you're actually gonna get gold, like 24 karat gold
that's really cool.
plated slammer. Yeah. And we've actually got some full like silver, like 65 or 80 ounces of silver. We even are making some full 24 karat and 14 karat gold slammers that are just like I think they're like 5,000 for 14 karat gold, and then 8,000 just in the gold itself. $8,000 worth of gold. And so those will probably retail for like 14 to 18,000 somewhere around there.
Dang. That's impressive.
But we're hiding
Congratulations.
them. You'll be able to hide. You'll be able to find a $10,000 golden slammer somewhere.
Oh yeah? Nice little Easter egg there.
Maybe.
Very cool. Very cool. Kyler, I want to ask you about your opinion. I think that you're so connected in what's going on, not just in the ordinals, but just Web3, NFT, etc. What do you think about the times that we're in right now? Are we headed into a bull run? Are we already in a bull run? Are you playing around with meme coins? What are you thinking or doing?
Yeah, I play around with everything. I was like 6 day in on Pepe, I think, and
Are you still in? Are
got
you
in on
still
Gong. No, no, I sold a while ago. I missed out on the new all-time highs, but I think I turned like $800 into 25K. So it was good enough. It was a good move.
that's
Um I'm super into ordinals as a holder. I think there's a lot of deals on the Ethereum floor. I don't know if we continue to backtrack on the Ethereum floors, but either way, like I'm trying to now buy all the ETH NFTs that I never had that I always wanted. Um, but on the macro, as far as like some of the bigger projects, I think that like some of the bigger projects got huge based on some things that maybe weren't sustainable. A lot of celebrity endorsements that ended up maybe being kind of false or paid for. Some really interesting narratives where you could say like, oh, so and so has a so and so. Okay, but they were given that and they have no idea what it is. It doesn't matter to them. They own it, but they are not in your community and they're not like that. And then there are other people who do have them. They're excited about them. And one thing that we have seen a lot that's kind of failing is venture capitalists buying a number of venture capitalists supporting a project and going and taking $1 million to $3 million and pumping the floor of this NFT project and doing it in hopes of becoming the most popular NFT in the world, flipping or whatever. It's so important. And then what you see is like people who are really passionate about that project or people who've always wanted to get in and they think, oh, now is the time, the floor's starting to pump, it's like it's gonna moon, so I'm gonna jump in at this like crazy outrageous price. And then all of a sudden you see maybe the business doesn't work, or their like physical or their business model that they've created is losing them money or something. And all of a sudden you see like the venture capitalists start to like sell to the people who are buying at these high prices, and then all of a sudden the price goes back down because there was no substantial demand. It was all artificial. And I think those instances where floor prices are pumped artificially are not good for the project, right? Like it's fun to say, oh, we have the highest floor price in NFTs, or we just flipped this thing, or we've had this much growth. But then if that exposes new holders to a substantial loss, not only did you just like hurt your project, but you just created something that ultimately was like more of a scam than anything. Like it really is like a toxic pump. And it's so toxic that you just lost people who really wanted to be in your project a substantial amount of money. And I think there probably should be criminal investigations into those scenarios where institutions are pumping floor prices, and then the consumer, the general retail purchaser, is getting hurt by that and having substantial losses based on that. So I think we're going to move towards a scenario where I think the real brands are the things that people are coming into. So like what we're excited about at POG is 200 million collectors in the physical space. The next bull run happens. We just hit an all-time high. The halvening's coming with Bitcoin, and all of these people are going to start coming back. And a lot of these folks don't feel comfortable in a Shiba Inu. They are not going to feel comfortable in a Dogecoin. They're not going to for sure feel comfortable in a WIF or even a Pepe. But what they will feel comfortable in is a company that they've already collected for a decade of their life, that introduced them to collecting. So the Pog brand is a very safe place for people. As much as but again, like I have a Pizza Ninja, I have a Bitcoin Puppet. I want no MB. I think a lot of those. I think Ordinals is like a very organic place right now, where like a lot of people are buying because they want to be there. They're very excited about the tech. I think it has something that's very beautiful, and I think a lot of these projects on Solana and Ethereum are doing it the right way. They're really there for their holder. But I think as a community and as an industry, we focus so much on floor price being the dictator of a great project, where that's absolutely not the case, especially when floor prices are being manipulated by insiders.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And it'd be remiss of me not to ask you about a topic that's happening right now. Like I see it through my timeline the entire time, and that is on Board a Yacht Club. It's almost the inverse of it. That a lot of people in the ecosystem are part of that of Board a Yacht Club, right? And yet the floor prices keep tanking and tanking and tanking. Um, and there's an argument that goes around saying there's a whole narrative that says, look, if Yuga Labs can't figure this out for Bored Ape Yacht Club, the entire Web3 ecosystem on Ethereum is dead, right? I mean, they are at the forefront of it, the grandfathers of it. And if they can't figure it out, then NFTs are dead. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I always think like Bunny. I heard say the other day like Yuga the highest price and PFP on Ethereum, and I'm like, dude, like my CryptoPunk is a PFP, right? Like CryptoPunks are still CryptoPunks. Um, and what I would say to the Bored Ape, like I had a great conversation with Gordon the other day when we were in Paris, and he did not expect BAYC to be what it is, right? He said we did have some like very high hopes. Like he's like we set out to do something fun and looked at what the community is missing and tried to give it to them. And I think they succeeded in creating really cool PFPs. The art is awesome in my opinion. I always loved the Bored Ape, but um I think they were victims of maybe not having a direction as to where they really wanted to go with their success. And I think maybe in hiring Daniel Allegre and building out Fortnite or like their version of Fortnite. Um, I said this the other day that like in building the other side, it kind of becomes a Fortnite, and no Fortnite avatar is worth $500,000, right? Like you're not gonna pay $500,000 to run around a digital world with your 500, whatever, with your PFP.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we have seen it from them, and we've seen it from the OK Bears, um, to where like they were perfect place, perfect time, just marketing was they did it right in the right time, and their floor price just cruised, but they had no idea what to do next, and that's not their fault. It's a place that like we're all trying to figure out what do you do next, right?
Mhm.
And so they thought, well, gaming was the best thing to do, and then they went and hired somebody who's great in gaming but has no idea what drives the digital collector, right?
Yeah.
And so you're not necessarily creating games. The most popular games in Web 3 are not the most popular style of games in Web 2. And so I think same thing happened with Recur. Recur, I don't know if you remember, they launched
Oh,
Nickelodeon
I,
NFTs.
oh, I remember, and I remember how much I had stuck in that wallet too. So
Right.
yeah.
They made like 40 to 50 million dollars. They hired they hired like I think they had like 150 people at one time in their company, and they had
Mhm.
no idea what they were going to do with it, right? And they kept pivoting and pivoting and pivoting. And this is all information I'm just gathering from conversations I've had with other like people who've worked at these companies and kind of my own insight from what I've seen. But I don't think we need to all be so quick to try and create, like, what if the Bored Apes would have just sat on their money? If they would have created like really unique experiences for their people, like the block parties and things like that were the things that really like the line around the block made the news in
Yeah.
2021, right? Everybody was like, "Oh fuck, I need a Bored Ape because like the parties are just such high demand."
Yeah.
Um, and instead of going the video game route where we're video games because that's what we set, like that was our core fundamental why we even got into the like this project in the first place. We are going to make gaming collectibles, create video games and interoperable gaming, and that's perfect for the Pog brand. And so uh like I watched the D Gods. I bought in a D Gods for like 12,500 bucks August of 2023, I think, or 20 August 2022, and or something like that. Even before we minted, I think our Pogs, our first collection, I bought a D God, and I remember them turning into a software company. And I remember using their software, and it was literally a spreadsheet with a dashboard. And then they hired this big CEO from like a DoorDash or some company who knew how to run. And then you watched him not necessarily execute well. They ended up parting ways with him. Yuga parts ways with Daniel Allegre. And it does kind of signal risk, but it also signals lack of vision. Like they just no, these two companies did not know who they were or what they were going to do outside of creating a great PFP. And I think like Yuga created all these dogs, they created Codas, they created Other Side, and none of that has come together yet, right? Like it just these ideas of like this is where we want to go, so we're going to launch a collection, we're going to anchor ourselves to this vision, we're going to put we're going to get all of our holders to put millions of dollars into this vision, but we don't necessarily know why or how or to bring it. And so I don't. This is a tremendous amount of FUD, and I've been on kind of like this FUD spree of the last 3 weeks of just like my disappointment in
Yeah.
kind of a lot of the ways that projects have gone, specifically because we were sorry. I'll get off this podium in a second, but like first we saw with hype mints. People would bot their Twitter. They would get 200,000 Twitter followers. They would get fake engagements, and then they would mint out, and then they would dump on everybody. And 3 months later, the project was worth nothing, right? It never was worth anything, but they convinced us it was. And all of the influencers knew, all of the folks here knew that's a horrible mint, but we know it's going to print because they have fake followers. They did all these things that like makes it look good to the average person. And now then we followed like, floor price determines the best projects, and that isn't the case, right? Like a
Mhm.
lot of people were like, oh, Yuga's the highest price floor price, I'm going to jump in, it's the best project, and we're going to go to the moon. That wasn't the case. Maybe there was some inflated activities. Maybe there was some behind the scenes stuff. Maybe there was some, sketchy shit with a company that paid celebrities to buy one of their products, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so like Gordon's probably gonna DM me and be like, "You fucking motherfucker!" Like, watch your mouth. But at the same time, like, I just think I'm impressed with what they did, but it is signal of the times that we're moving away. Like, we're moving away from the hype mint where 100,000 fake followers mints out your project. We're moving away from the thing that the floor price signals quality in the space, and so hopefully we're moving. I think we're moving towards a thing where real brands, real offerings, real quality are substantiated, and we're watching cool games be created. We're watching coins moon on games. And I think like there's something to be said about communities that are behind these meme coins, right? Like they really are communities, and they're using coins as a way to build the community. And I think that's awesome, right? Like it's easier to get in and out of with coins than it is with NFTs, but it's still fundamentally about the community and about having a good time and about sharing info and being in each other's lives. And to me, NFTs have always been like first and foremost, like not just a collectible, but like a membership card to a community, right? And so like
Bingo.
let's continue to build around that, where the quality and the value of your project is based on your community and based on what they get to do and how much they enjoy your project, rather than how valuable, because I don't know. Once the board apes, if the board apes hit a 5 ETH floor, you bet believes a lot of people who always wanted one are going to buy them, and they're probably going to find the right homes because they're in a price point where the people who really want them can afford them, and they'll keep them, right? So like a high floor price is not always a good thing for a project.
Yeah, yeah. You said a lot of really good comments on that. And I think that it's a super interesting problem to have, like almost specific to Web3, because Board Yacht Club has this problem of first movers advantage, but also because they made it up because you had to. First movers advantage means that you're the very first ones, but when a whole ecosystem is born out of that, what's next? Who exactly gets to determine or knows best of what's next, right? And to your point, I think that they went with Daniel Alegre thinking that it was the gaming ecosystem that was going to unlock mainstream and unlock something bigger and better. But if NFTs and Web3 is built on culture, it's incredibly hard to say culture equals gaming, right? It just is a lot more complicated than that. And so when the announcement came that he was no longer going to be the CEO, and that it was reverting back, those were the comments. He didn't understand the culture. He was never really embedded in the culture. He was never really part of building that culture. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that, at no fault of his own, really. It's just that either you're in it or you're not. either you understand the fabric of what makes that culture, hence why meme coins work and why meme coin communities work, or you just don't. And you cannot come and put a corporate seal on any of that. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I could first of all listen to you say Daniel Allegre for the rest of my life. The way that you say that is incredibly beautiful.
Thank
Um,
you.
and your point is spot on. If gaming was all it took, we never would have made it to Web3. We'd all just be playing Fortnite. We all of us here who are so passionate about the Web3 space, we'd just be playing Daniel Allegre's games if that's all we wanted, right? Where that we've all moved on past those types of digital interactions because we want to collect, we want to be a community, and we want to a lot of us want to speculate on what the next hot collectible is. That's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to have a collectible you own that's going up in price. People want it, and you get to be a part of like that thing where it's like, oh, my collectible is super exciting and people want to talk to me about my collectible. That's super. I mean, I think that's one of the funnest things about this space, right? Is just that. And so I don't know what that looks like. I think I love the idea of highlighting collectors. I love the idea of like showcasing and putting a spotlight on the audience and the people who are actually here making this what it is. But I think I saw through it when they hired Daniel. I saw through it when they hired Kevin at D Gods at D Labs.
Mm.
And you know, as much as I want to make fun of them, they're trying to do the best thing that they can do for their project. They're spending millions of dollars to bring these individuals in with the hope that it's going to do the best thing possible for their community, right? And so I think even if it didn't work, we have to thank those folks for trying because Gordon and their whole team, they could have just hung up their cleats a long time ago, taken their money and sailed off into the sunset, not had to deal with all the FUD that they deal with. And they'd be either way, they're wealthy, wealthy folks, right? And
So many
they're
other ones
still here.
did that, you know?
So many other,
So
so exactly.
countless other ones did
Yeah.
just exactly that. Yeah.
Most of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll come
Yeah.
back in the next bull run and try and sell you their new project, even though they weren't here for the bear. But you're 100% right. And Yuga stuck it out, and Yuga's still here, and they're still trying, and it's all coming from a really good place. And as much as I want to make fun of all these folks that are doing it wrong, it comes from a good place. There is
But
one project out there that I think is doing it for the wrong reasons, and I think they're doing it in the wrong ways, and I think that they're utilizing institutional money and they've just totally fucked over a ton of different people who have just like bet on them. And their Walmart strategy is not as exciting as everybody might have thought it was.
Kyla, that's like throwing some big names out there. You want to expand on that?
Not really. I just think that like if you're gonna lose money every time you create a physical product and you're doing it to onboard people through Walmart and you're saying that that's gonna be your up level and then you're telling all these other brands that if they don't do it just like you they're gonna fail. I think that's a lot of hot wind from a young person because factually the number of people who bought a lot of these toys in Walmart were actually holders of the collectible themselves. And you can't tell me that somebody goes in there, buys this stuffed animal for their kid, and decides I'm going to go buy a $70,000 NFT after that.
It's a
It's just
big
not
jump in
not the
there.
way it goes. Not the way it goes. And then if you're using institutional money to pump your floor to try and build more marketing, that's absolutely dishonest and puts your new holders in a very bad position.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, when you put it like that, right? When you put it like that, that's definitely not cool. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you being so involved in the ecosystem. Truly, it makes me happy when I see a founder in this space or when I see somebody in this space that understands not just what looks good on paper, but also the cultural relevance behind it and like the cultural importance of, what is nostalgic and also what the new ecosystem is and the digital aspect of all of this. when you put both of them together, it's a real joy to be able to talk to you and to see you grow in the ecosystem. So continue what you're doing. You're always welcome to come and join. If you know, you know. Anything else that you want to share with us on Alpha before we wrap up the show?
Our coin's coming out, and I think I'm really excited about all of the Hollywood stuff that will come behind it. The creators of Ice Age are going to be, making an announcement soon.
Wow.
Some folks who are big in Hollywood are about to make a solid announcement for us later this summer. But I would tell you this, that like I am first and foremost a degen, first and foremost a Bitcoin. Not maybe maximalist, but just below a maximalist who understands that other blockchains have their relevancy, and I'm very excited about all of them. Bitcoin is the reason that I even got into tech. It's the reason that I've had so many great opportunities. It's the reason I went from making, $10 an hour to being able to like do this full time. And I am a degen. I mean, I've gotten rugged more times than most, hopefully, and it's taught me how to hopefully do things in a way that I would respect as a consumer. And this is definitely not just like a cash grab. We didn't just grab the IP and try to like pull as much money out of a industry as possible, right? Like I really do believe that Pog is a great platform for onboarding maybe 200 million people who used to collect Pog into the Web3 ecosystem. I believe that our games and our things like that will prove what a utility could be. Like a metaverse to me is not a digital environment that you can run around. It's a collection of experiences and a collection of games that you can utilize your assets in without having to buy new ones. But like if anybody is listening to this and doesn't necessarily believe that we're here for the right reasons, I just would love to communicate to you that like this is something I'm very honored to get to do. It is something that, I haven't taken a break from for 2.5 years. Every single day I've been on Twitter. Every single day I've been in Discord. I've read every message that's come through our Discord chat for 2.5 years, and I will continue to do so until it's no longer possible. But I am a degen at heart, and I want the Pog brand to be a mechanism for all of us degens in Web3 to be able to like use in the right way. So if you have a project that you'd like to, partner with an old great brand from your childhood, let's fucking do it. Pizza Ninjas come in. Like we have a lot of great projects that we're going to partner with, but as corny as it sounds, like I'm in it for you, the degen who's just like me, who wants something fun and nostalgic that kind of makes us remember like our childhood.
Hey, I love everything that you just said, and that is me. That is 100% me. I run this show because because I truly love like the technology behind it, and I get to meet really cool and amazing people that are building shit in this space, and I love that. But even more so when a person is a degen, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. It is fun, and I am a degen at heart. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. I continue to hop in at any time. Kyler, you're always welcome. I love what you guys are building. Never stop being a degen and letting that like shine through and be your North Star, right? Do it for the rest of us, please.
Hell yeah.
Everybody, appreciate you watching today. Appreciate you tuning in today. If you haven't already, go and make sure that you are following Pog Digital. Kyler, you don't have a personal account, do you? It's just straight on.
No, I do. It's Tech Gentleman, TechGentleman, Tech G. But yeah, I only use the Pog brand as the account. Like that's the one I'm active on. And I think it's paid off. It's definitely been a good decision to only use that one. I sometimes ruin the brand with my personal takes, like the one I might have just given. But don't hold that against the brand. Hold that against me. If you want to send a death threat, send it to my personal account, not to the Pog account. Pog didn't do anything. That was on me.
Nice little disclaimer right there. All right, everybody. This is If You Know, You Know. And if you haven't tuned in or this is your first time, we run this show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, baby. So if you didn't know, now you know. I'll see you guys next week. Have an amazing rest of your week, everybody. Hey, and if you're planning on going to NFT NYC, hit me up. I would love to meet everybody in person. Peace. Bye, Kyler. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Bella.